I spent 50 hours learning to grow on YouTube, and I learned 3 powerful lessons that I want to share with you that have changed the way that I look at YouTube. Let's jump right into it. So as I was watching, I learned that there's 2 metrics that if you get these right, it practically guarantees that you're going to go viral. But what are they? They are click-through rate and retention. Now these are gonna be your bread and butter if you're growing on YouTube. But what exactly are click-through rate and retention? So click-through rate is the percentage of people that actually click on your video when they see it on their homepage or on the suggested. And what your retention is the percentage of people that are still watching your video at any given time. And in your YouTube Studio, you actually have a retention graph that shows at any point of the video what percentage of people are still watching. So you want to get people to click and then you want them to watch all the way through. But the question is, how do you do that? Well, that leads us to our next lesson. Now this next one seems a little counterintuitive when you hear it for the first time, but if you don't implement it, then that basically makes sure that no matter how good your video is, people are not going to watch it. You have to have an interesting thumbnail. Now, as I was watching these guys, I heard that one word over and over and over again, thumbnail. Now going into this, I already thought the thumbnails were pretty important, but these guys really drilled in my head how important they are. Now the real question is, what makes a good thumbnail? Now, to be fair, answering that question could take up an entire video series, and there's a lot on YouTube about how to make a good thumbnail. But there's one word that really kind of boils down into what makes a thumbnail clickable, and it's the word curiosity. Looking at the best thumbnails, there's always a question of what is going to happen next, or what in the world is that? The goal of your thumbnail is to make the audience so curious that they have to click on your video to see the answer. But even if you get people to click, if you miss this next lesson, about 60% of the people that click on your video will stop watching immediately, which can totally wreck your video's performance. You have to nail the hook. As I was listening to all these guys, they all said you have to nail that first 30 seconds of your video. Because I'm sure a lot of you have seen this in your own YouTube Studio. In that first 30 seconds is where you can lose anywhere between 20% all the way to 60% of the people that actually click on your videos. And I found that there's 2 things that you can do that make it much more likely that people will stick around past your intro. The first is that you have to deliver on the promise of the title and thumbnail. Now I cannot stress this enough, because what clickbait is when you promise something with the title and thumbnail and then you don't actually deliver on it in the video. So in that first 30 seconds, you want to reassure them that they're actually going to get what they clicked for. Now the second one was a little bit hard for me at first, but it makes a whole lot of sense. You want to jump right into the content. Like I said, you want to deliver on the promise, but within the first 15 or 20 seconds, you want to get right into the content that the people came for. And I'm sure you've seen people that don't do this well in their videos, where the first 2 or 3 minutes is just introducing themselves, asking how you are, and it feels like they're telling you their entire life story. And you're like, sir, excuse me, I came here to learn how to change a tire. I don't care about your life story. So you want to get right into the content. Now a bonus tip, something that the biggest YouTubers do, is they tell you that the very best part of the video is at the very end. So if you want to watch that, you have to watch the entire video. Now this next one really applies to you if you're starting out on YouTube, because as you're starting creating content, one of the biggest problems is there are so many other people that are making content just like you. So the question is, how do you stand out from the competition? So this lesson I actually learned from Eric, who grew over 1 million subscribers in his very first year on YouTube. And he said that this is the foundation for him blowing up and standing out from the competition. He said you need to use your unfair advantages. Now, what are unfair advantages? He said that it's using things that you uniquely have to get the things that you want. He said for him, his 2 unfair advantages were that he had a wedding videography company before, so he knew how to use cameras, and then he also had a weird obsession with sneaking into places. But when you took these 2 things together, he was able to make viral content that not a lot of people were making at the time. But what could that be for you? What are the things that you have that not everyone does? Are you funny? Do you already know how to use cameras? Do you have a lot of downtime? Do you have people around you that are also trying to grow on YouTube? You want to lean into these and use them to stand out from the competition. Now, this last one is especially for you if you're thinking about starting your own YouTube channel, because it is the biggest regret that almost every YouTuber has. Every YouTuber out there, including myself, wishes that they would have started sooner. Now, I'm sure you've heard people say like YouTube is too crowded right now and you needed to start 10 years ago to be successful. Now, it would have been beneficial to start 10 years ago, but the second best time to start is right now. And all the big creators that you see now, they started before they were ready, before they were able to make good content. And they spent years perfecting the craft to get to where they are today. But if you're anything like me, your first video that you're gonna upload is gonna be by far the hardest to upload because there's so many fears that go along with it. You know, the fear of being judged, the fear of being rejected, or the fear of failing. Even though your first video could be the hardest to upload, it's arguably the most important part of starting your YouTube journey. So if you want to learn how to overcome the fears of judgment and failure and just starting a YouTube channel, watch this video where I kind of walked you through my own journey in overcoming these. Hey, if you found this helpful at all, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.